Overseas now to an ominous declaration by Iran, that country's president saying it's at, quote, total war with the U.S., Israel, and Europe.
Yeah, and Mary, while this wasn't Iran's supreme leader saying this was still a concerning statement from Iran's president, who's quoted as saying, "We are in a full-scale war with America, Israel, and Europe. They do not want our country to stand on its feet." And this is notable for a couple of reasons. Certainly the timing. It comes just before Prime Minister Netanyahu is set to meet with President Trump tomorrow, and it follows that unprecedented military action over the summer when Israel and the United States coordinated to attack Iran's nuclear program. So a lot could come from tomorrow's meeting, not only on the Iran issue, but also efforts to move to phase 2 of the ceasefire in Gaza. So as this meeting nears and the new year approaches, Mary, it is certainly clear that tensions remain high in the region.
Threatening the United States into a total war with us is the stupidest thing you can do for any other country. And I've heard online in different news media outlets about how, Iran doesn't, they don't even have a good military. They're just all talk. We shouldn't just brush them off like it's all talk, because people have allies. And, I believe China is a strong ally, and they have a big ass army, and we should be very cautious of how we approach, coming back to Iran and saying, hey, we're not somebody to be taking threats like that. Let's see what President Trump has to say about this.
And now back to President Trump's meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu, where the president issued a warning to Iran over reviving its missile and nuclear programs. Listen.
Iran may be behaving badly. It hasn't been confirmed, but if it's confirmed, look, they know the consequences. Consequences will be very powerful, maybe more powerful than the last time.
National security and military analyst Dr. Rebecca Grant joins me now. Dr. Grant, great to have you on the program. It's important to note that right now there are intense protests throughout Iran over the horrific economy there. So, is now actually the perfect time to strike regime targets in Iran in light of the internal protests against the regime?
Well, it would be great to have that terrible regime gone. But I think President Trump's priority right now is to make sure that Iran's military capabilities stay batted down. He could not have been more clear at Mar-a-Lago, warning that if Iran gets back into nuclear mischief, there will be another strike. I think he also probably discussed some sensitive intelligence with Netanyahu about Iran's missile production capabilities, which are much more extensive, spread throughout the country. And hey, the 509th Bomb Wing and the B-2s are ready to do whatever is necessary. Trump will let nothing stand in the way of progress on Gaza and the Abraham Accords.
I wonder if the shoe is on the other foot, if American citizens started protesting against our government. This would open a window of opportunity for other nations that hate America to basically do a regime change on this country. And that would not be a good thing, because we, the people, we want our government to be fully transparent. We want our government to be providing for us, the American people. And I believe for many, many years, even before I was born, so many Americans have been craving full transparency from our government, and we've elected leaders that have been put in place saying that they would be transparent, do these great changes, and once they become in power, may have realized that corruption may have taken over the entire government, where they have to adhere to basically what elites and other powerful people that are basically pulling the strings to making them do what the American people do not want. And this is a huge problem. And we can speak all day about the open borders and all these other things that are going on in this country, with the prices, with the fraud that's going on, the investigation under Charlie Kirk. I mean, there's so many things we could talk about. In order to really find the truth in many things, corruption needs to be rooted out. And in order to do that, we have to force our government to expose themselves if they are in on corruption. And put a huge reset on our system of government, or there's no point on voting. There's no point on paying taxes. I'm already seeing it online. So many people commenting about, why are we even paying taxes? We're sick and tired of this. This is going off topic here, but how a YouTuber found fraud before our own government did. What does that tell you?
Gaza now. As for what's next there, here's what President Trump stated. Listen.
I'm not concerned about anything that Israel's doing. I'm concerned about what other people are doing or maybe aren't doing. But I'm not concerned. They've lived up to the plan. They're strong. They're solid. And sometimes they don't understand when somebody violates something that you want to give them a second chance. Well, we'll give them a couple of second chances. But no, Israel's lived up to the plan 100%.
The president went on to say the next phase of the plan in Gaza could happen quickly if Hamas disarms. Do you see that happening?
That is going to take an international stabilization force. Now, Trump's message is 100% support for Israel. Trump could not be more supportive of Israel. But this plan calls for de-radicalizing Gaza, bringing in international troops. And this, I'm afraid, may take some U.S. planning and organizing, not U.S. troops on the ground, but helping out with the command and control. And it's time for Egypt, Turkey, Qatar, and others to step up and provide that force. Good news is more aid trucks are going into Gaza, but we've still got to get that place calmed down in order to proceed.
We live in a complicated world, from the Middle East now to Venezuela, where President Trump said the U.S. attacked a Venezuelan dock, which was used to load boats with drugs. This was the first land strike in the conflict with Venezuela by the Trump administration, and it was reportedly carried out by the CIA. So that begs the question, Dr. Grant, do U.S. troops on the ground come next?
I think we can handle this with airstrikes and a whole bunch of other methods. Don't forget, we've had the USS Gerald R. Ford, the Iwo Jima Amphibious Ready Group there. And President Trump was briefed on a set of targets in Venezuela back in mid-November. Todd, it's all part of his plan to squeeze Maduro's money machine. We love to see Maduro gone, but no question, Trump will clean up that narco trafficking and the illegal migration that has been such a threat to the United States.
If you are Maduro, how much time does Maduro have left as the leader of Venezuela, or the de facto leader of Venezuela, even though he lost the election?
Yeah, he stole that election, and I think his days are numbered because he's running out of money. There's an airspace blockade. He can't fly cash in and out. Russia and China, his so-called buddies, are not going to bail him out. And the sanctions on the tankers mean that his oil revenue is going to be choked. Of course, China being the one that buys most of that oil. I think Maduro's days are numbered, and we'd love to see a much better future for Venezuela. But make no mistake, Trump has put a big emphasis on the Western Hemisphere, and he'll continue to do what it takes.
And listen, I understand what President Trump is doing with trying to prevent drugs and weapons and even people from being, smuggled into America where it's causing damage to American citizens. I understand that, and I like that he's doing that. But I believe President Trump, I know there's so many things that are on the plate for America, so many problems, so many things need to be handled, taken care of, and I speak on corruption a lot. That's one of the main things that need to be done here in America, is because every single day Americans are struggling, and when we finally have President Trump come back to the White House, we elect him to be the president because he said he was going to do this, and that. And in the first, couple months, he was, running as soon as he started, and signing all these executive orders to put in place to make some changes, which is good, and also do some reverse things that President Biden screwed up, which is a whole nother story when we talk about Biden. But in my opinion, I believe the first things that President Trump needs to take care of is the corruption. Why certain things are not being addressed to the American people specifically. We're getting sick and tired of finding out the truth from other sources, and also, figuring out that the government and certain people in government are part of this, fraud or corruption. You know, Elon came in with Doge and exposed so much that President Trump was like, you know what, we may need to push Elon Musk to the side because it's getting to the point where there is just a lot of fraud, waste, and abuse in our government that we didn't even know of. That's not good. That's not good. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below. Like and subscribe. I would appreciate it. Till next time, peace out, everybody. This one's for Charlie.